Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Good. What have you been
Yeah,
up?
yeah, lately I got sucked into the whole like 007 First Light thing.
Oh, nice.
Because yeah, I guess like they're doing the deepest dive on it, and because I play a lot of Hitman Freelancer, I thought it would be cool to just check out like a fresh game that's sort of a remix of Hitman like mechanics with uh I've never been like super into the whole James Bond stories, but it is like a movie-esque experience. Uh,
Yeah,
that,
looks really
so I thought
cool.
that'd be cool. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Like I jumped into the like they did a 2-hour stream yesterday, Leo and Haley showing it off, and I saw like some cool looking like 3-4 enemies in an environment, and you're sort of like pushing them around and dodging and hitting, and people are breaking through barrels. You're throwing stuff, and so there was cool like just kind of the it feels like a nice like real time puzzle that these games can get into. I haven't experienced the combat myself, but I feel like I'll practice it a bit and then I'll get to the point where I can kind of like hopefully like fool around in an environment and just kind of have some chaos ensue. And that's I really like games like that where you feel like your whole like you're sort of planning at multiple levels, like you're reacting to things in the immediate term and eyeballing like where you can sort of make your route so that you can get to like another throwable item, or maybe there's gas like a smoke grenade going off and timings. I like sort of being in that. uh it's reminding me a lot of like Splinter Cell Blacklist when I was playing that. I got like really good at that, and I was doing a lot of stuff where I would just kind of like throw smoke grenades down and do melee combat with a bunch of enemies, and be like switching weapons and looking at my radar and stuff. And it's fun to be in like a real time sort of environment where different stuff is pulling at your attention.
Yeah, that is cool. I feel like I haven't. I don't know if I've like really experienced that in a game where it's like you just have so many options for like
Mm.
in real time combat, particular. That's like yeah, the sort of
I
real
guess
time
it's kind of
puzzle
like
thing. Yeah.
in general, it's maybe like a flow state
Mm.
because you sort of get, in my experience, like in these games, you get good at the controls, and then you're just kind of like thinking in real time about next thing, planning like a rough course and charting your way through. But then the controls are like you're sort of like entering controls at a certain rate where everything just feels like it's chaining together and the game's flowing in a nice way.
Mm.
And I like that experience.
Yeah,
But
that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting because I watched that stream and I saw like Leo, who's pretty good at it, like doing combat with enemies. And so I like booted up the game for the first time, sort of thinking like I'm gonna jump right in there and start practicing the combat and stuff. But the first level is like sort of a slow, lengthy sequence that's delivering you some story. It's sort of like the origin of 007. And it's a it's not really letting you go any direction you want. It's pretty linear, and you're
Mm.
limited in you don't even have that many controls. Like you press X a couple times to interact, but you can see that like your character cannot do any sort of moves or engage the enemy really at all. But I was surprised because sitting down and thinking like I'm gonna do this action packed sequence like James Bond, like the kind I just saw, and then being thrown into a game where like he's like slowly walking across a dimly lit like coastline, with like enemies that he just has to completely avoid. I thought
Mm.
like it was cool. It was a neat moment because it was the exact opposite of what I was expecting. And that's typically my critique of these games are like, I'm ready to do one thing and it's just going to make me for 40 minutes do like a totally different speed of game. But I was still like swept into the story and like hooked on it in quite a surprising way, almost as if like I had sat down. It really felt like being like I want to see some action, sitting down to watch like a James Bond film, and then the first like act, the first uh, set piece is just like this slow melodic, like getting you sort of aware of the universe, like the characters, and not there's no like action. Maybe sometimes they do action off the beginning, but this really, it felt like it felt immediately like just seeing like the graphics, the terrain, the banter, the dialogue. it was like I felt like I could trust the game to sort of just I'll just go at its pace. I'll just do whatever the game tells me to sort of do. And I feel
Yeah.
like it was a nice feeling of sort of like because there's other people playing it, there's a deepest dive. Uh it felt like a moment where it's like, okay, like I can just sort of, I don't have to show up and get what I want out of this game. I can just let it take me on a story and, and I'll just sort of appreciate what it's doing, whatever that is, and not really have demands of it. And that was a fun moment because it's rare, I think, to find a game where you sort of just are willing to fully trust it, and
Yeah.
it's gonna do, it's gonna be like, it's gonna have combat uh, and all these things, and there's like driving and also like spying on people and stuff. So it's very a wide range of stuff that it sort of tells you to do at different moments. But I feel like I'll just work through the story and try to like uh, get pick up on whatever it's telling me.
Yeah. I feel like that's it. An interesting thing about like trust, where like I feel like it can be sort of acquired in like many ways. Like maybe if it's like this same developers as a game you really like, or like the trailer in the trailer there's just like incredible music or something. But for this one, it like seemed like to me, um, just based on I watched like a little bit of some gameplay streams and like just the visuals are like I'm like, oh, this is like I don't think I've seen this before. Like it looks just like so good
Hmm.
to me. Like um but yeah, I feel like just from that level of like polish and alone, like I'm just like, yeah, like I do kind of want to hang out in this world and whatever it has in store for me. Like I'm up for it. Um yeah, I don't know. And it's like and it's sort of like a realist uh art style, um which I feel like I normally don't really
Hmm.
like that much. Like I feel like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. Like I'm like, yeah, like I don't know, like I take it or leave it in terms of art style. But this one, for some reason, I don't know what they're doing, but it just like to my eyes, it just looks like so pleasing. um, yeah,
Yeah, I wonder because yeah, I find graphically. I guess my PC is maybe 4 or 5 years old at this point, but I had gotten like the modern graphics card at that time, so I wasn't even sure like how well does my PC rate in terms of being able to handle this. But I just left whatever the defaults were so far. It seems to be running smoothly. I guess my PC is like doing work. I'm hoping that as things get more complex, there's no like frame rate stutter or like crashes or something due to like my computer being worked like too hard. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, in terms of like just, I guess I've noticed, yeah, like I think that was one thing is that if it's just asking me to like slowly make my way around a room and like click on something for like story exposition, I feel like yeah, I'm willing to do that because so far like the environments are visually interesting, and it sort of is just fun to enter a room and kind of just yeah look at the different stuff and feel like it's it really is there and someone's uh yeah, and I've seen some stream footage of other environments too. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm not sure. Nothing strikes me as like a step forward. I guess I've seen like Death Stranding seems to have nice environments, but I've never played that game.
hmm
And then like the I guess the Hitman level of fidelity to me looks kind of like it's crossed the line where I'm just sort of willing to believe like everything. Nothing. I don't really need this stuff to be
right,
that beyond the Hitman. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you. Like I feel like in general, I'm like I don't, the level of like fidelity or whatever like doesn't matter to me. So actually, it can like even go the opposite direction. and it's like hard to even say like this compared to Hitman if it looks that different. Like if you
Yeah,
put them
I
side
don't
by
think I
side,
can
I'd be
tell the
like,
difference. Yeah.
yeah, but for some reason, it's just like on a like a deeper subconscious level. Like I look at Hitman graphics and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not like the thing that's appealing here to me. Like it's it's the gameplay, if anything, that looks cool. And then I look at the James Bond and I'm just like, whoa, like yeah, I don't know. I can't describe it further really, but just I guess the environmental touches are working for me. I don't know if that's been other people's experiences as well, but yeah.
Yeah, people have commented on like light rays or that it looks good. But yeah,
Mm.
nobody it's get I guess it's to the point where we don't really have the vocabulary to like really, and it's so subtle. Like it's in
Yeah.
particular locations. Yeah, if you like spend the time to look at a mirror or something, there's these little minor things that people can pick up on, but nothing like yeah, like frame to frame. There's a lot of frames that probably look the same. It's only when there's like particular lighting in a certain way that strikes us as like something we didn't realize was missing from previous games, but like wouldn't necessarily notice unless we're playing enough games of this genre to like uh really zero in on that difference or
Yeah.
something.
Super subtle. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess though
Yeah.
people are talking about loading times and stuff. Like they're saying you'll get into combat with like 5 enemies and you take 2 hits and you die, and you'll make a couple attempts but die faster than like the loading time is longer than the gameplay. And I haven't experienced that yet, but I feel like that's a weird decision. It's like you're James Bond. It's high speed. You want to, and it's like welcoming you to like try different things, different ways of solving a problem, and do this like parry based, dodge based like five enemy reaction with like environmental items that you don't know what they're going to do until you like sort of test out some of them. But then if you fail, it's like you like I feel like in development they wouldn't have known it's like one of those things where the game's designed in a way clearly that it's like it's good, and then you throw in like I don't know a 30 second, like people are saying the loading time's like pretty noticeably long, so
Mm.
it's sort of like this last it's like you ship something and all of a sudden there's a loading time that is completely counter to the pacing and the design, and it discourages any sort of, it's like if you know how to solve a problem, do exactly that one solution, don't risk like experimentation that would charge you another loading time. uh
Right.
that's sort of how it that's like the but then I assume some of that is due to like the graphical quality. It's like just get rid of a few light rays or give me like uh if it's like give me a setting where I can just wipe out the graphical fidelity so I can try like a scenario like 10 times and then bump up the graphics and go through it like trained up and skilled and have the full visual fidelity, or like just make that part of it rather than just having this weird like graphics first, but also it's an entire game. You have to like play around the graphics and I guess I just listening to MinMax's most recent episode, they're talking about like the price of hardware. So it's sort of like these games are still demanding the highest end PCs, which are now like $300 to $1,000 more expensive. And also there's still loading times at that. And it's sort of
Oof.
like, what is the, like you want everyone to pay way more extra money to buy the most high end to get the graphics just to wait for the loading time, in a
Right.
game that, is different. It's sort of like
Yeah.
it's sort of, yeah, it becomes like the game is designed to sell itself on stream and nobody's going to see like the loading times on stream, or they'll watch someone with a good PC and then it'll sell the game. But when it gets right down to it, it's like if you want to do what's right for the human, make it make it that level of like 80% graphics and have the extra performance on top or something.
Yeah, the loading time, yeah, that's like a huge thing. Like to have like a, yeah, whatever you mentioned, like 20, 30-second loading time in this type
That's
of
my
game in
guess.
particular.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's
that's like really
people are
rough.
saying like on maybe on console, they're saying on PC it's not as bad, but I'll
Mm.
be interested. Like if I if it's a game that I really start enjoying, but there'll be like a moment where I'm making enough mistakes in combat where I might find myself like really wanting to play the game and just watching a loading screen as I try to get better at the combat. But I guess there'll always be that moment where it's like, do I want to do something chaotic and fun, or am I gonna just feel like not worth it for the loading time? You know, like, do I want to
Right.
run in there and see what happens? Like, just run into the center, see how long I can go. Not if there's a loading time, but I'll have to see like how long it is on PC.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, and I would yeah, I would love to hear uh like a GDC talk from that team talking about the those loading time, like just to understand like where that's coming from and uh yeah, I mean I'm not like super savvy in game engines. I think probably they use like their own game engine. I don't know. My guess is it's not like Unreal or something, but
Hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. I would love to hear like the trade-offs and like when they thought that might be starting to be a problem and uh if like maybe it's the case that like the graphical stuff uh, only like mostly affects frames per second versus the load time or like who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like that is that feels pretty major to me. It's uh, yeah, like an annoyance. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
People are also commenting on this like montage training sequence that I'm excited to play, where
Mm,
it'll have you like it sort of brings you into like this like like shoot three targets. But I've seen this one scene where you like shoot the three targets and then it goes to like a cutscene where like James Bond makes like a little quip about like, oh, like how did I do, and then it immediately is like in a dry like a you're running like an obstacle course, and then it cuts to like you pressing A to him to do like push-ups, and then it cuts to like a you're driving a car around a loop. uh but I'll have to like play that and sort of examine how they're doing it, because it looks it looks exactly like a movie, like a training sequence in a movie. All the scenes like stacked next to each other, but then like you're the one learning like a skill in each scene, and
cool.
that's a pretty exciting. Yeah, and also just from like I don't think there's any load times. I think they preload that entire level, but it's like different scenes with different activities that sort of cut between each other with a little scene to like segue between them, and it makes it look sort of like you're going through this like 6 month training program, but it's just giving you like the highlights. But you're the one sort of learning, yeah, like one piece of gameplay or mechanic per scene.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, why not make it more cinematic? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I think it's important. Like, feels like a nice game to play because it's giving me ideas. Uh, like I like the idea of this like very interesting sort of like open-ended combat mechanic, but then also there's a lot of moments in the game where you're just kind of walking around in like almost like a walking simulator. Like feels like an Alan Wake, which I never played, but like some styles sort of like go around this environment and check stuff out. And I
Mm,
like those. I really like that blend of those two things. And I've always felt like in a game I either want to do the mechanic or I want like a full walking simulator. But this is the first game I've played that is giving me a balance of both, where it feels like just each time you sit down it's like watching the next episode of TV, but sometimes that TV episode will involve like some interactivity, uh and but like the right amount or something like that. So it's giving me ideas for like my own games, like if I made sort of some kind of game with a mechanic but then also had these exposition like sequences where you're building characters and stuff, but then you're letting the player just do the mechanic. I think it would feel pretty fun to be like almost like guided through like a multi-room ride, but like some of the rooms are interactive and some are on rails or something. And yeah.
yeah. Yeah, totally. I feel like that's type of thing that I would love to make too. But I feel like, yeah, both aspects of that are like very difficult um, in different ways, I guess. uh,
Yeah. I
but
really like
yeah,
whenever there's a character doing something and the other character is like on the radio, like commenting on what they're doing or telling them what to do. I
uh-huh.
think I would make a game that would be like part of my story is just like you're in an environment and someone on the radio is like instructing you. Uh, I really like that, especially when like you have these more like dynamic combat instances, and then you're back on the radio, and it's sort of like the person on the other end of the radio is kind of like just looking for updates, looking for facts, but then on the ground there's like these problems you have to solve that are not you don't need to tell them like all the details. Like it's just like, oh, I just like defeated three guys, but don't worry, don't worry about it. This you're just
Uh-huh.
like telling them what the next document says or something. I like that sort
Yeah.
of the difference there, where it's like the high level summary versus like the grittiness of the play by play or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about that reminds me of uh there was some like old I think this is I think I did actually play this couple Call of Duty campaigns I played when I was much younger. Um but it was one where like uh, yeah, I think it's sort of more near the beginning of the game, but I'm not sure. Where you they're like over the radio, you kind of keep hearing this update on this guy who's like trying to like steal this nuke, and you're like, you just kind of keep getting these background updates like while you're going through this, level, like doing other stuff where it's like, yeah, the guy, like he's it seems like he's taking over this building, like, oh, it seems like he's got control of the facility, like I don't know what's happening, and then like the end of it is just like a nuke touches down, like, and you die, like everybody dies. But I was always like, oh, like that was so well done how it like snuck up on me, because it was like I didn't, even though it was like clearly like foreshadowing, like I just didn't think that was gonna happen, but I guess you expect like, oh, like I'll and then stop him or something like. um
Yeah, that's neat. It's
yeah,
like there's a narrative on the radio, but then it's like over time it sort of convinces you that just like in real life, we hear about stuff on the radio, but that stuff is not happening, or it's not like real for us.
yeah,
But then like yeah, in
yeah,
the game, it's like that excitement of like they bring that radio narrative to life in the game, and for a moment it's sort of like it's like but I thought that was just on the radio, and like you sort of forget almost that you're in a game because it's like a second level of storytelling, and
right.
then the moment where it's like, oh wait, it's like, wait, this is real or something like that, and then forgetting you're in like a game.
Yeah, yeah, it like jumps one level of reality forward. Like, yeah, it was a very neat trick. I felt. Yeah, yeah. I've been playing a lot of kind of the only game I've been playing recently is Slay the Spire 2. Uh, Mostly just with my brother. There's some solo. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Have you checked this out at all? Or I
Slay
guess
the
we played
Spire.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, we played a bit. Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
gone back to it yet. I just got distracted with other games and things. I
Yeah,
guess
yeah. Very valid.
actually also maybe I would go back if it goes like 1.0. I would go
Right.
back and check it. Maybe that's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, uh, yeah, this one somehow I like a lot more than the first one. Um, it just feels like there's just enough like more possibilities. Uh, it's like, or for strategies, like it just like there's more like interesting decisions, I feel like. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I've been talking about because it's for my brother like one of the first types of games, like whatever roguelike deck builder type game that he's ever played. And he's like really into it, but we were just like talking about like because I was trying to explain to him like, oh, like this is a whole genre now. Like there's like 1,000 games like this in different variations. And yeah, so but he's really excited. So we've just been talking about like, oh, like what are the components that makes one of these compelling? And yeah, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have like quite as broad a perspective because he's kind of only played this one. So, but I feel like yeah, it's like it's such an interesting like balance of ingredients to make one of these like yeah, it's hard to say like why this one feels really good. And I guess for most people it feels really good. Like I feel like from what coverage I've seen, people
Yeah.
really like this one. Um, but yeah, just trying to like deconstruct like why this works so well, where I don't know, other ones are like maybe have some success, but just like not quite the level of love or like uh, yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
like the Mahjong one or like uh, I mean, yeah, I guess there's just a million of them, but they feel like a little more like flash in the pan. Like it'll some people really like it, but they'll play it for like a little bit and then be done. Whereas this one, it feels like, I feel like, I mean, I've already spent just an ungodly amount of hours playing this game. Um, and I'm like, yeah, I could totally, I mean, I'm taking a little break now. Like I haven't played it for a little bit, but I could totally see myself playing like, 100 hours of this more at least, like before I'm done with it. Hopefully pretty spaced out, but like, yeah, I'm just like, yeah, it just works. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
have you play? Do you have thoughts about these
Yeah, my
deck
two
builder
thoughts would
games?
be like I really think the flow state is important. And
Mm,
when I get into a flow state, it's like I've been taught some range of things where I I'm like making decisions at like a pleasing rate, and I feel like no single decision is like going to end the game or kill me or like be too overpowered, but like every decision I feel I can like you're just kind of making decisions at a certain rate that are sort of casual and sort of eyeballing it, but you can sort of you feel like when you make that a good decision or you get a good like card or something or like sort of drop, then you feel that impact and you can sort of see the ball like rolls a bit faster. And I feel like that like it's pleasing because you can't you can't calculate like it's sort of like impossible to calculate everything that's going on, but it's clear enough that like the decisions we're making are impacting what we see in front of us that it just feels almost it feels like to me it's like running or something like that. It's sort of like, I'm not suddenly getting to my destination, but like every footstep is bringing me closer and I'm in like a rhythm and there's like a toss up of a couple different like things that one is juggling and it feels like you're you're in sort of like this element.
yeah.
But then the other phrase that came to mind was like easy to learn and hard to master. And
Yeah.
like I had just played that like
Cool.
the Gambonanza and that one was easy to learn and I haven't beat like the hardest difficulty, but like it feels like easy to master. It's just like very clear at all
Hmm.
times now to me like what I have to do to really do the optimal thing. And the only challenge is like if you don't check where all the pieces are attacking, you'll just place it somewhere and die, and then the whole game's over. And like it's a weird like it was fun it was like good, easy to learn and like juicy, but then yeah, it's just like you run off the end of the runway and there's nothing it's not like there's any advantage to there's no
Mm,
sort of like melee sort of going on. Nothing feels like too risky. And but I wonder for this game, Slay the Spire 2. So it's like fairly easy to it's got that, like it's easy to understand, but then I don't know, like you had said that you went through and beat like every level kind of pretty quickly. And so then in terms of like what what's keeping you going back? Do you feel like every run you're picking up a little thing that makes you feel like you're working your muscles, and or maybe it's just like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe it's just sort of like it's got that meaty sort of like you go through a run, you're making enough decisions where you always feel like you're treading water. Like if you stop treading water, you drown, but you have to keep doing that, like treading water and juggling, and then you sort of stay in that flow state where you're grabbing like a new piece. It's like, exciting to see what's going to drop, incorporating that slowly as you keep the ball rolling. I feel like that's like keeping the brain. It's like the brain is active in a pleasing way. It's not working like too hard. Like nothing is a critical failure, but you can feel this like momentum, and you're sort of just like pushing like a large marble or something, that just little nudges to keep it like on the right path, but you can't fully control it or something.
yeah, it's yeah. I think you're totally right on with the like easy to learn, hard to master. Like I maybe part of it is like for a lot of these, yeah, just getting that right. Where I haven't played. I don't know if I've played many of that feel hard to learn, but I'm sure they exist. But I feel like a lot of them feel somewhat easy to learn, but then there's not like a ton of depth. Like once you sort of figure it out, then you're just like, well, I figured it out, you know?
Yeah.
Like repeating runs would not serve any purpose because I don't feel like I'm getting better at this game. It's just like a slot
Yeah, it's
machine of
too
like,
clear. Yeah, there's like some overpowered
yeah, yeah.
line.
There's like, yeah, often it's like a little imbalanced. Like once you figure out the optimal play, it's just like a little too easy. Um, But yeah, this one and Balatro was the other one that came to mind. Where I guess in terms of popularity, they're like by far the most popular of this genre, I think. And they both have that sort of that feeling of like once it gets to the highest rungs of like difficulty, like even when you get to that level, uh, it like I'm sort of like I've gotten good enough at Slay the Spire. And I felt this way with Patra too, where I was like, I got to the point where it's like I can beat the highest level of difficulty like some of the time,
Right.
but like not like definitely not consistently. And I can see, like how I could get with like a lot of dedication get to the point where I could like have a win streak and and like win most of the time, but it's like the gulf between just that is like so vast, and there's 5 characters to learn, and like learning a new character is like pretty difficult. Like it took me like a long time where I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna learn just the Necrobinder and like get all the way to the try and beat that. And it's like, yeah, and then I don't even know how many hours that was. That was probably like 50 hours. Like, so like half of that playing with my brother and half of it solo. But yeah, now I'm like, I've started again with another character, and I'm like, okay, there's a bit of transfer here, learning here, but I am somewhat starting from scratch again and just learning all the cards. Uh, so yeah, I feel like getting they get that right of like you can even between runs you feel like you're getting a little better at the game, but uh, yeah, to where you can always be progressing in like ascensions or whatever, but then even when you get to the tip of the mountain, it's like you see like, oh, I could still get so much better. But yeah, that's usually where I stop with these games because I'm like, I don't want to like have this be my life now. But um, yeah,
Yeah, there's that. That's like the main thing is like you hit that point of diminishing return where eventually like other games show up, and you can have much more fun like going from 0 to 90, instead of getting like a fraction of a percent better at like 95% skill level in a
right.
pretty like in a game that you could play forever if no other game ever showed up or something.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like for that loop to sustain itself of like the where the mastery becomes enjoyable, like I feel like you really need like a big community around it, like chess for me when I was growing up. It's like, there's such a massive community and like history and literature and like all this stuff to sustain that interest past like a certain level of knowledge, whereas for like even as popular game as Slay the Spire, it's like it's not like there's like I could go in person and like engage in Slay the Spire club, and you know what I mean, like it's just not quite the same level. um to where that would feel appealing to me at least. But I guess for other people, like with like speed running and stuff, it's like maybe yeah, for a lot of people it doesn't they don't mind if like intense mastery of a game is like sort of niche or like not many other people are doing it. But yeah.
Is a cool like for example, like chess and poker are
Hmm.
like these, no one, it's like who created them, we don't directly know, and they're like open source, and they're not like owned by a corporation, they're not like IP or something, they're just like it's like the unskinned raw form of games. And
Hmm.
then that's an interesting thing of like Slay the Spire, like what stops Slay the Spire from being like a more generalized game that humanity understands on like a not in a way where like there's themed IP or like Slay the Spire characters or like a story, but just the more like the raw unstyled, like use these cards that have some kind of engine mechanic to build a deck as you progress in runs. I
Yeah.
wonder, yeah, like it would be cool to take something like the Slay the Spire format, but then convert it into like a solitaire style game where you can like with a deck of 52 cards, you can play some kind of game that mimics like the flow of Slay the Spire, but it's just using like the standard deck. Uh,
Right,
yeah,
for like
in a interactive.
accessibility. Yeah. Yeah, that would be fun to try to make. Yeah, like just with a standard deck of cards, like make a a roguelike deck
Yeah,
builder or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
just any make like a little engine game where you can use
yeah,
cards to get higher cards to get higher cards. Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah. That's a good challenge.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through some kind of game design. Like I got this tile set from Kenny, that like that artist Kenny. That
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I guess I paid like the $10 to download everything, and I found the ones I like. I like the tiny dungeon, tiny city tile maps. They
yeah.
have some items and stuff. And now I need to. I was just watching some YouTube videos about like how to. I've done it before, like auto tiles in Godot. I guess Godot 3 auto tiles and
Hmm.
tile maps in Godot 4. But I'm gonna try to just take that like texture alias of just all the tiles in a grid formation and like hook them up so that as efficiently as possible I can just like do level design and paint the tiles. Uh, and then yeah, I'll put characters in there, I'll hook up my multiplayer, and I'll just make a game where you can walk around like a level. But then after that, the next challenge is like layer in some kind of like I keep thinking back to like kids playing tag on the schoolyard. Like you just have like a group of people and an environment, and you make these games that are like hide and seek, like tag, uh, rock paper scissors, like all these games that like you can just kind of play with people in certain positions in an environment.
Hmm.
And like you can start you do like an Easter egg hunt, like all those kind of things. But then I'm thinking like those games, they're fun, but they don't have like a lasting like I then want to layer in some kind of escape room. Like then there's you can just be like hanging out with friends, or you can engage like a timer where all of a sudden now you got to run off in different directions, find items. Each item might, a sword or an axe might break open a box. The box might have a key to open a door. Maybe there is like a couple enemies in there, or like a map to something else that you need to find, but it would sort of I want to get like the voice communication going, like people calling out like what they're finding and what things say, and then other people being like, oh, that means like that's the code for this thing over here, and I want like sort of 4 players to be running around in an environment, just kind of finding stuff and calling it out and solving puzzles with like combining information in order to like I assume like escape through some final door, and then they would just be back in like a lounge where now it's just like now you're just voice chatting. Maybe you can like some simple mechanic like you can push somebody or you can break boxes that heal again or some kind of like chill mechanic that's just like very subtle and and then you can sort of do these you can explore a bit or do these dungeons. But that's going to be fun to try to just figure out something that's like simple that works with the multiplayer uh that just feels like ideally it would be like kind of it would feel like something that is repeatable and interesting.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
that's a
and like
fun,
adding.
yeah, fun challenge.
Yeah, yeah. I think at next min hacks, I'll make an effort to try to do like a multiplayer game as well. And right now, I don't know if you've ever seen like these pure JS like libraries, but when you at least if you're using like the free pure JS like server that they provide, when you create a peer, it gives you like a really long like hash, like alphanumeric like code, like too long to read and copy from a screen. But then if it's too short, it won't be like you need it to be unique because you need to generate like a unique ID so that people can like visit the server because the server is not like issuing you the ID. You're like telling the server what your ID is, and you just have to pick something long enough so it doesn't conflict, or else it'll say
Mm.
like not available or whatever. So I made this idea that, and I'm kind of excited to see how this works out. Where, uh, like I would start with like the 3 letter day code. So like if you play the game on a certain day, the first 3 letters of your code will be like Sunday, and then a dash, and then like then I was gonna do like 2 digits for the hour, minute, and second, but that would make like 6 digit number. But I could encode that number into like base like 64 or something, so that it's much shorter. It's like maybe 3 to 4 like symbols.
Mm.
So you have like you'd have like the 3 days of the week, and that would be pretty obvious. Like people would see that it's the days of the week. That's the first part of the code. Then like 3 random characters, like uppercase, lowercase letters, numbers, and then that would make the code unique. Like if everyone played the game, they'd get the same code if they generated it at the same second of the same day. But then I would add like 2 letters or whatever that are just like unique identifiers so that it's unlikely that 2 people generating the same second would get the same code. And then I think I would end up with like a 7 letter number code that could be shown on screen. And then so whenever somebody plays the game on stream, people could read that code and join.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun ID scheme. Yeah, make it sort of the.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting also because like Twitch has maybe like a 10-second or something delay. So if you join that multiplayer game, even if the multiplayer is working flawlessly and it's like real time, whatever happens in the game, like 10 seconds later, you'll see that happen on stream. So you won't
Mm.
really I don't think there's really a way to play the game and watch the stream and have that make any sense. You'd have to just kind of like do something in the game and then uh like it's not like any of the hosts would be commenting on the exact moment of gameplay you're seeing. You'd have to like
Mm.
you'd see something happen in game and then 10 seconds later they'd react to it or whichever way. I keep getting confused about which way that would happen.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause-
that is trippy to
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
you'd always be the game would uh yeah, I just think that would be interesting, especially cuz some people would be watching both or one or the other, and you'd almost be then in the end like you could play the game and watch the stream a bit and then watch the stream after and sort of see your character or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be, yeah, a fun thing to create. Um, yeah, and I like I saw the demo you showed on your YouTube. I thought, yeah, pretty good demo, and like yeah, just making like something like an escape room, like you mentioned, like just something like cooperative and sort of uh wacky puzzle. I feel like yeah, it could be a good challenge and just like well scoped, fun to make.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be interesting too to like because I want to, I want people to be able to like swing a sword and break a barrel or something, but then I don't want that to be this tricky thing to sync with multiplayer. But I feel like,
right.
or so it'll be fun because I like a solution to that might be just like you can hit things and they flash and you get some kind of point or whatever for doing that, but that none of that like needs to be communicated to anyone else in real time or for them to even really know it happened. Essentially, like you can hit a barrel, it'll flash white exactly when you hit it, like with perfect speed locally. And then like you get 1 point, and then you're just kind of telling the host like now you have 1 point. And if there's a global scoreboard, like maybe all the players have a certain amount of points, but it's not like everyone else can't smash that barrel at the same time because it's just like flashing a certain color, and it doesn't ever enter like a destroyed state. It's just like if you hit it, you get a point or something.
Yeah,
And so
yeah. No need
that
to
kind of
like
like yeah,
maintain
it'd
state.
be fun because it would feel like you're watching a leaderboard, you're getting points, you're running around, and you might not know it, but like no one's position is 100% accurate. But if there's no like player to player collisions, it doesn't really matter. You just kind of assume that that's where they all are. Uh, so I feel
Right.
like the right balance of, and then I also thought like if it's grid based movement, then I only have to say like what grid cell players are currently on, and then every client locally can just smoothly animate like players to that grid cell. It's not like checking, it's not every pixel of their position that's being sent. Uh, and then yeah, so that I feel like stuff like that. And also, if the players move kind of slow, then like if a player says I'm going to this grid cell, hopefully like the message would already be like synced before they even get to that grid cell, and then the like the multiplayer communication is kind of able to stay ahead of where players would be, and maybe
Yeah.
that just makes slower player movement or something.
Yeah, that's a good way to scope it because yeah, it's like especially using like a free Pure.js server, it's like who knows what the service like I doubt they even like have like a service level agreement or anything. Like it's probably just like yeah, the latency's gonna be all over the place and like
But that's
yeah,
the
it's
nice
pretty
thing about this is that like the only thing that free server they do, the only thing it does is you tell the server like your ID, and along with that ID goes like all your port information and stuff. And then
oh that's right. It's Pure.
yeah, so
It's
then
Pure in Pure.js.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then the other like every player hits the server once just to sort of make that initial connection.
gotcha. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and then I learned that I think that's called a stun server where it's just that one hit. But then they quickly say that like a lot of times peer to peer won't work, and the fallback is like a turn server, and apparently a turn server, all the communication like a turn server is like a fallback server where if peer to peer doesn't work, it forwards everything through the server.
Hmm.
And I think that is not provided for free. So that's where things
Gotcha.
could break down. Is like I'm sure that some people would just be like refused peer to peer if they're on a phone or behind a firewall or something. But I'll try to make a game that's it's like a good like a single player story, or at least the play single player has something to do, and then multiplayer would just be fun if it works, but not it wouldn't the game would still function without it somehow.
Yeah, that sounds like a smart like in between way uh, to do multiplayer is like yeah, just not have
That's kind of
like
funny
other
actually
players
that
matter.
like they always talk about like in community meetups, like what if nobody shows up for a community meetup? And in this case, like maybe no one would because the multiplayer doesn't work, but it would just be like this empty community meetup.
Yes. Yeah. So you trying to yeah make that for min hacks and yeah
Yeah, at least I'll
yeah,
use
see
the
if people could
motivation of the
join.
next min hacks. Hopefully I'll get
Yeah,
like some kind of proof of concept before then, and then I'll know if it's gonna work or not. But at least the motivate min hacks will motivate me to take an in-depth look.
yeah, yeah. It's cool plan. Yeah, yeah. I've just started. I've been working on this game. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's like uh, taking some of the work I
Yeah, you showed
environment.
it. I've seen the something flying at one point, so I had a sense of some
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's sort of taking like elements from that game, but yeah, I just wanted to like start from a like somewhat fresh project, just to reinvigorate. But yeah, it includes like you're sort of flying and um, but yeah, it like uses like constructs this um like procedurally generates like a city, um just like very simple, just like block by block, and yeah, they're sort of like flying amongst the streets and then avoiding getting zapped by these um, like cameras that are all around.
oh yeah,
Um, so yeah, that's been fun. It's like uh, the original motivator is gone now because I started it for this game jam and then I didn't
great.
submit anything, but
Mhm.
it was enough to kickstart a little bit. So yeah, that's my current.
I always wonder about a like a Doc Lightning video that was just like footage of like the story and footage of the game that you have. Because they always like they sort of
Mm,
have these rules that are like they're like don't just monologue with game footage, but obviously they mean like an existing like published game. Don't just like play a video game that people have seen and talk over it. But it's like it's obviously they would probably be fine with like someone's individual game they're working on and like a almost like a 3 minute devlog or something and the idea behind it.
yeah. Yeah, I think that
But
would be
so,
cool. I would feel a little weird though, just like
yeah,
in like the self
that's what I
promote.
feel is like. I feel like that could be a really cool genre video, but it would be weird. It's going to be weird to be like the first person doing it. Everyone is so like in a community, everyone's like so supportive that they would always be like into it. But then you're trying to like read between the lines and be like, but is this the intent of the thing? And uh,
Yeah.
it's funny to feel like that, where it's like you really want to like artistically open the door and feel like it's like surely people would value this if it's done well. But then yeah, it's always wondering like anything could be valued, but this is obviously trying to be like some kind of like they I guess they say go out and do something new, and I feel like there's implied it's like go outside and do something new, but it's like game development is something new, and you know if we're not like it's if it's not our job, then that is a new thing we're trying, and we're using the Doc Lightning to like motivate us to do it.
Right.
Uh,
And
so
I
yeah,
feel like there was like one guy in the very first one who sort of did a version of that. I'm just vaguely remembering. Maybe there was another element to it too, but it was sort of documenting himself uh like he had like a family and a day job and stuff, but he was also trying to make a game and um he would like get up real early and just work on it for a couple hours every morning. Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, so maybe there maybe there's some precedent. Yeah, I
yeah, I
feel
really
yeah.
yeah. I want to make a video like that at some point where it's like because you'd sort of be able to like talk as the environment takes shape. Like the environment would be shaped almost like based on how you're thinking. Like it is an environment that you've built and how you're thinking. You can sort of just like pace around this game and take footage of uh you know have like a particular color scheme and stuff in mind, and it would just
Mm,
it would feel like a relaxing footage to have in a monologue video.
yeah, yeah, I just see a world sort of take shape. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to me because the even what you've described like so far with the cameras and the flying, it feels like there you could find like you have some idea about the meaning of the game or if it's ambiguous, but you could like layer in lots of meanings onto that and then make like a nice like video just like sort of talking about whatever topic, but like it would feel like the game is like an analogy for whatever you're talking about, and it's kind of it's cool to think because then it's sort of like watching the video. I always when I see videos like that, I wonder like what is what am I seeing? Like what is this? Like where is this a game or something? Like you never
Mm.
know, especially if it's not like if it's a game you've developed that doesn't exist anywhere, and it's almost like showing people like it's not footage of the world somewhere they could travel. Like it's a world that they can never go to. Uh,
Mm.
that yeah, that was like shaped by the same mind that is now like telling you some kind of story while the world's like showing. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's like a funny idea to like to just like never release it then just like make it make it where it's like this yeah like a world that you could never go to. It's such like an interesting like
Yeah, like a deep
like oh
sea
then I suddenly would
submarine
want to
view.
really go to that world like becomes compelling. Yeah.
It is cool because yeah, like if you let players go to a world, they'll explore everywhere and they'll learn like what the world is and what's not, how big it is and stuff. But if you show them just like a glimpse, they never will know. Like they won't know what's on the other side of the city, or like if you just show them like a glowing thing in the distance and
Mm.
they can't like if you don't go, you go close but not like you see a tunnel or a cave or something, but you don't go in like who you can tell them like you can sort of like that then their imagination can go wild and they can't just like download the game and see that it's nothing or whatever. You can just sort of make some point about the that and they have to sort of just use their imagination to like fill in parts that you didn't have to spend the time developing. Like you just develop enough to like kickstart the imagination or something.
Yeah, yeah, and have it yeah leaving things unresolved. It's like a yeah a very provocative thing to do. I feel like in storytelling, but I yeah, I feel like it's such a double-edged sword of or like for me, like if I'm watching like a show or something that like that ends without resolving something, it's like it can really like I feel like that's very polarizing. Like sometimes I really like that and sometimes I really don't, you know? I feel like it's all in
Yeah,
that
I think yeah,
confusion, I guess.
I agree with where you're saying. I was thinking though that it's almost like the difference between like watching a show on a set and believing that like that's the story, but then if you like visited the set for real, it's not like
Mm,
like you sort of maybe you watch like Seinfeld and you're like, I wonder what's like just outside that door, and like if you went to the set, there's nothing there, but the like watching the show, they don't need to build something outside the door. They just need to like refer to like they just need to, build enough of the apartment that you believe it's in the city, and then you
uh-huh.
get this benefit. It's sort of you feel like
Yeah.
Seinfeld is a consistent city that, and you sort of have this memory of like a city and how it's connected, but it's not like they release the set that you can go and actually like explore, all these things.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
feel like
that's
it's
a
almost
great
like a
point.
game. It's like building a game as a set for like a story, and then building just enough of the game to like tell the story, and then you know, there's no expectation that like people would be able to like visit the set and that it would be like real or something.
Right, right. Like it helps yeah, doing enough that people can build the world in their head. Like yeah. I
Yeah.
just watched yesterday the Spain um, min-max travelogue thing.
Yeah. One
Just
hour.
just the short version, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting. Like yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of intrigued to watch the full thing now, but
Yeah. I think at some point I'll go back watch the full thing. I watched also the Japan like bit summit.
oh yeah, I
Traveling.
haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, and then I guess they'll. Yeah, there's now. It's kind of fun to have like an 11-hour thing, where especially after I sort of forget the details of the 1 hour, you go back and watch the 11 hour, which I guess contains like the shorter one as well.
Right.
But once you sort of like kind of forget, it'd be fun to like regain that knowledge and get all the other 10 hours or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I really love like the showing how they did it where like everything is in the same, like, I don't know how what Unreal calls it, but bit like a Godot scene or whatever. Like like they were like, yeah, actually these cutscenes we just put them right below, uh, and then just have the camera change like to be there now. Like instead of having it be a separate scene or level. Um, and the trade-offs of that and stuff. But for me, that was like just like really fascinating. Like I kind of like that conceptually, to be as a developer to be able to map out like the flow of the game just in one space is such like a
Yeah.
I feel like it has to affect on a subconscious level like how they develop the game. Um, yeah, there was
Yeah.
like some other stuff that I liked, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Reminds me of like working with like tile maps in Godot, but then sometimes you want to place like an object that essentially is a tile, but it needs to be like a rich object that has like many layers. And so you make like a separate node that you duplicate and like put that on the tile map, but then
Mm,
you can't like paint those tiles. So I think at one point I needed to place like rocks on the ground on the tile map that could be pushed. And so I made like a tile map that I could like paint rocks, like paint and erase rocks. And then when the game started, it would like replace all those tiles with the equivalent rock that was like a rich object with scripts and everything.
that's
And that
neat.
was yeah, that was a nice thing where yeah, it feels really important to be able to like visually see everything and manipulate everything in like a 3D space or 2D space. And then the game is using that as like the source of truth for a bunch of stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's a cool approach to like yeah in editor do like the rough version and then like when the game when the uh, when the game actually starts then it, like on load it fills everything in. Yeah,
Yeah, because I
probably.
remember sometimes I would get stuck where I would be like entering coordinate, like I'd be like measuring and entering coordinates of where something would be, and then at some point I
Uh-huh.
was just like, wait, like why don't I just put nodes as like place markers and then just name them as like start location, and then I have this like visually movable start location that gets read by something else rather than hard coded numbers, which cannot be
Right,
seen.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, helps to yeah visualize everything for sure. Yeah. Well, I should head out. I go to my art club.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nice talking to you.
Yeah. Good talk. Yeah. I'll see you later.